Here are the strangest jobs that existed 500 years ago and more. Job 1. The whipping boy. Let's start with a job that sounds made up. It wasn't. In the royal courts of Europe in the 1500s, princes could not be physically punished by anyone except the king. The problem was, princes needed discipline. They were children. They misbehaved. They needed consequences. So they invented a solution: a whipping boy. A boy of similar age, raised alongside the prince from birth. His entire purpose: receive the punishment whenever the prince misbehaved. The prince misbehaves. The whipping boy gets hit in front of the prince, so the prince feels guilt instead of pain. It sounds cruel, but here is the twist nobody expects. Whipping boys were often treated extremely well outside of punishment. Fine clothes, good food, education alongside royalty. Some became close friends with the prince. Some became powerful advisors later in life. William Murray, whipping boy to King Charles I of England, eventually became the Earl of Dysart, one of the most powerful men in the country. He started as a boy who got hit for someone else's mistakes. He ended up running the country. Job 2. The plague doctor. The next job paid well. There was a reason for that. In medieval and Renaissance Europe, when plague hit a town, almost every doctor fled. Almost every doctor. The plague doctors stayed. That was the job. Walk into dying towns. Treat the sick. Try not to die yourself. They wore a costume so terrifying that children reportedly screamed when they saw it. The beak mask was filled with herbs and flowers. They believed bad smells caused plague. The herbs would filter the air. It didn't work. But they didn't know that. Their actual treatments were worse than the disease. Bleeding patients, applying live toads to the skin, cutting open the swellings. Plague doctors had a special legal status. They could perform autopsies without church permission, something almost no one else could do in that era. This meant they accidentally became the most knowledgeable people about human anatomy in the entire world, simply because they were the only ones allowed to look inside a body. Job 3. The urine collector. Now we get to the jobs that are harder to explain at a dinner party. In the 1500s, urine was valuable, not slightly useful, genuinely commercially valuable. It was used to tan leather, fix dye in fabrics, clean wool, and make gunpowder. So someone had to collect it. That was a job, a real, full-time job. They went door to door, house to house, collecting what people left in their chamber pots overnight. But here is where it gets truly strange. In the great royal courts and noble houses, the ladies wore enormous dresses. We are talking structures so massive, they needed 2 people just to walk through a doorway. These dresses were so large and events so long, banquets, ceremonies, royal audiences lasting 6, 7, 8 hours, that leaving to relieve yourself was simply not possible. So 2 servants crawled under the dress with a bucket and waited. This was their job, crouched in darkness, under a dress, at a royal banquet, for hours. They were paid. It was considered an honor to serve the nobility this closely. Job 4. The sin eater. Some jobs damaged your body, some damaged your dignity. This one damaged your soul. At least that's what everyone believed. The sin eater was a real profession in Britain and parts of Europe from the 1400s through the 1800s. When someone died, the family was terrified that the dead person's sins would follow their soul into the afterlife. So they called the sin eater. He would come to the house. Food and drink, bread, beer, sometimes salt, would be placed on the chest of the dead body. The sin eater would eat and drink from that food, directly off the body. And by doing so, he absorbed all the sins of the dead person into himself. The dead person's soul was now clean, free to enter heaven.